Good afternoon and welcome to Stock Market Today. On the show, we're going to be taking a look at Zscaler, Delta Airlines, and Disney. But first, let's take a look at the major indexes. It's Alyssa Corum here with Ken Shreve. And you know, it was a pretty quiet day. We did end up slightly higher across the board with the Nasdaq, S&P, and Dow all gaining about 0.2% a piece here. So what's your take on this kind of quiet holiday week so far?
Well, definitely a late session rally here. Good to see. Indexes were flat and mostly unchanged for most of the session, and we're seeing some nice buying into the close. Small caps, notorious laggards today. Looks like the Russell 2000 is going to end down about 0.8%, and actually a pretty good performance for the Nasdaq. We were just looking at the Philadelphia Semiconductor Index, which was down 1.5% today, but the index has been up sharply 3 or 4 sessions in a row. So some selling in chip stocks today, but the Nasdaq turned in a pretty good close here.
That it did, and let's take a look at a few individual names, starting off with Delta Airlines. It gained about 1.3% by the end of the day. Off the session highs a little bit here, but there was strong June passenger data here from the company, and it raised its earnings and revenue guidance ahead of its July 11th earnings report. So a pre-announcement here, and it's edging towards a buy point.
Yeah, a lot of good news from Delta. It's the top-rated airline stock in our database. It's got a composite rating of 83, and fundamentals are pretty decent in Delta. But I'll tell you, last quarter earnings, and it looks like this quarter earnings are going to be pretty good for the airline, and trying to break out here over a 59.09 buy point. Like you said, the stock is probably finished in the bottom half of its range, but good heavy volume gain for Delta today.
That is right, and I feel like we're seeing a lot more of these types of base structures here, kind of these bigger, deeper cup with handles here, or base next to base, however you want to interpret it.
Yeah, it's kind of an anomaly in the airline sector, because I was looking at some other airline stock charts that are not very healthy. But as Ed Carson pointed out to me earlier, that Delta does not have any 737 MAX jets in its fleet, and a lot of other airlines can't say that. So that's one reason why Delta is still showing relative strength in the group, and looks like optimism around next week's earnings report.
That's right. It looks like it's mirroring more of like some of the big cap tech stocks than
exactly.
other airline peers.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you look at a chart of Southwest Airlines, ticker LUV. It's been in a downtrend for several months now, and getting resistance at its 40-week moving average. So not many great-looking charts in the airline group, but Delta is definitely the exception.
Delta is one of them, and let's check in on Zscaler, a standout from the software sector, which gained some 3% today. We're going to be taking a look at a weekly chart here, and it is forming a more rare base pattern, one that we don't see all too often, but one that is formed by a stock that has just shown strong action and is getting a lot of strong support.
A big move for Zscaler since its IPO, but this one definitely has the look of an emerging leader in the security software group. And so the ascending base formed. Basically, there was a powerful breakout for the stock a few months ago, and then it had 3 pullbacks of 18%, 19%, and 11%. So the third pullback of 11%. Now the stock is rallying back closer to an 83.35 entry, and this is one where even though it's made a pretty good move already, we could get a new entry point here. So watching Zscaler closely.
Yeah, that's right. It's about 4% below that potential buy point. So if this is a name you're interested in, definitely we've seen the software sector produce a lot of big gainers this year. Would be time to put this one on the watch list, perhaps.
Yep, no question.
All right, and last but not least, Disney is also nearing a 142.47 buy point. It looks like it may have finished the day just above that level here, and the fundamental story short term doesn't really look like that explosive growth that we like to see out of growth stocks, but the story here with this Disney Plus product coming out could definitely be a game changer for the company.
Yeah, definitely. I think they have the new going on, and Disney Plus is scheduled to launch later in the year in November, I believe, at a price point of about $7 a month, which is much lower than what Netflix is charging right now. So I think there's optimism that Disney Plus is really going to have a positive impact on the company's bottom line. Technically, it still looks great. Tried to break out over a 142.47 buy point a few weeks ago. It's just kind of been trading around the 140 area. Actually, fairly tight trading. trading, and it, like you said, closed just above the buy point today. Not much volume in the stock, but this kind of feels like a stock where you're going to look 2 years from now and say, geez, I could have gotten Disney at $142 a share. So good technicals and still in buy range here.
That's right. The technical strength, I think, is perhaps maybe outweighing what is lacking in fundamentals for some investors.
Yeah, and again, I think the new is very important when you're evaluating a company. If there's something new going on that potentially can turn earnings around and drive additional revenues, that's definitely compelling. There's a lot of new going on at Zscaler in new security software technology, and the new with Walt Disney is a new streaming product that should help earnings going forward.
That's right. Definitely a big focus for us when we're talking about that CAN-SLIM methodology. And if you want to learn more about that, you can head to our How to Invest section at investors.com, of course, where we have all the latest stock market news and analysis. And just want to let you know, since we do have this shortened holiday week, we are recording our weekly podcast a day early. It usually drops every Thursday, but this week, since that's the holiday, we will be dropping this week's episode on Wednesday, which is tomorrow, so make sure you're heading to investors.com/podcast for that.
And also a half session for the stock market tomorrow, closing at 1 p.m. Eastern time, I believe.
That's right.
And then a full session Friday.
And 1 p.m. Eastern Wednesday is when we will be going live for this show, so make sure you tune in then. Until then, make sure to check out investors.com, and we will see you later.